All right, cool. So hello everyone, welcome to today's APAC community call. So today we'll be talking about primarily kind of our third working group update in this year. So specifically, we're going to focus on the healthcare systems, so formerly known as the EHR work group, the oncology group, which I think a lot of folks here are very interested and has been kind of participating some of the oncology working group work. And then the last one, which is really from Martai on Hades, which are all of the PLE or all of the analytical packages. So with that, I'll first go through a quick overview of the Odyssey news, and then I will share my screen again. Just a second. Okay. So want to let everyone know, just quite recently, later last month, so we have Claire to really kind of went through the new process of, if you have any updates request, or if you think there are other different ways that we could, record the data better, or how do we improve CDM in the future. So there is a new process that we could now use and go through if you have any types of requests like that. And then the CDM work group, they will receive all of the feedback and see there will be the new decision tree, just to see how do we take the feedback to next steps. Are we going to change it or not? Any other options? So stuff like that, and everything are been kind of recorded in the video from Claire, Paul, and in this video. So feel free to take a look, especially if you have any ideas or feedback on the CDM process. So with that, I will go to the first update, which I think I still kind of get more used to calling it EHR working group, but now it's healthcare system working group. And then I will start playing the video. Please let me know if you can hear the sound. Can you hear it? Are there? No? Okay. Let me reshare my screen. So let me try it again. Okay, share system audio. I did not click on that. Okay, I will do it again. Can you hear? Can everyone hear the audio?
Not really.
I can hear.
Okay. How about this?
My name is Melanie Flosky.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we're going to start with Odyssey's mission statement. And that is to improve health by empowering a community to collaboratively generate the evidence that promotes better health decisions and better care. And in order to achieve this goal, first we need to help the community convert their data to the CDM. And that was how this work group was born. Healthcare systems, hospitals, and other friends with EHR data needed some guidance. So in keeping with the Odyssey tradition, we're going to do a quick little journey. So we began as the Electronic Health Record Working Group back in 2018 at the Odyssey Symposium in Bethesda, Maryland, in the US. I had met a lot of community members with EHR data who had a lot of questions about the OMOP CDM, their source data, the tools, the research, and the community. And since we're an open source, open science community, if you have or see a need and you have an interest, it's up to you to work towards a solution. So I gathered the names and email addresses and posted to the forums and reached out to my colleagues and set up discussions, including things like custom mapping, 2 billionaires versus the source concept map. We talk about updates to the vocabulary and to the model. We've had folks present how they have implemented some of the optional CDM tables, such as the visit detail table, also different ETL methods and ETL tools, either homegrown tools and methods, alongside with the regulars like Rabbit in a Hat and White Rabbit. We've had folks present about Odyssey Stack, including Docker, the data quality dashboard, COVID mapping in your electronic health record, and the list goes on. It's all in our meeting minutes. And we do a lot of discussing of how do you OMOP your data. So now, here we are 3 years later, and we've grown a lot over the past 3 years. The whole community has grown a lot. And we've grown with the community, and we realized that the title of our group, the Electronic Health Record Working Group, and the EHR objectives weren't quite accurate anymore. So over a few meetings last fall, we updated our objectives and rebranded ourselves based on these new objectives. So now we're the Healthcare Systems Interest Group. We went with interest group because the work is only done by a core group of people, being Dawn Tora, Paul Nagy, and myself. We implement the group's objectives, we take notes, we secure speakers, and we provide a lot of guidance to the group. So this is what we've come up with our OKRs for 2022. These are not finalized. We have our working group summit at the end of this week. So I'm thinking probably in the next couple of weeks, we will finalize these. Always like to hear input from the community. So we have 3 objectives right now. One is to provide support for transforming source EHR data to the OMOP CDM. Second objective is to support healthcare systems with building the business case to utilize the OMOP CDM. And our third one is to provide value to healthcare systems beyond participating in Odyssey network studies. So the first objective, to provide support for transforming source EHR data to the CDM, we have some key results. So we're going to continue with our office hour style agendas during our regularly scheduled meetings. We're going to do this 10 times a year. This is so anybody can come to our meeting and have any questions about the OMOP CDM, their source data, transforming it, vocabularies. Either one of us will help you with that, and we can discuss it. And if we don't know, we do know the people that can help you with this. So that's just an open type of forum for discussion. Another key result is we're going to monitor and answer questions on the CDM builders, the implementers, and the categorized forums of Odyssey related to anything about the source data or the ETL process. And then we're also going to create a central repository of the different OMOP sites and their underlying EHR system. We're going to do this by building a survey and then making those results available to the community. So that way community members can get together between themselves and discuss how they've ETL'd their data. I know a lot of people would like to have scripts available for some of the common electronic health record systems like Epic and Cerner, but that is proprietary data, so we are not able as a work group to provide that. However, we are going to try to set up like a mentoring type of network, so that way folks can reach out to other folks individually. We want to support healthcare systems with building the business case to utilize the OMOP CDM. We're going to provide documentation via either published papers or written by our group to support the business case for healthcare institutions to adopt the CDM. We realize that transforming source data to the CDM is a big lift, and by making resources available to the community and supporting ETL efforts, we hope to lower these barriers of adoption. So we're going to collaborate with the education work group via work group liaison to help support these EHR ETLs and also identify Odyssey sources of knowledge and put this into a wiki. A lot of times we see a lot of questions on the forums about how do I do this or where can I find that? And it would be nice to just have a wiki that lists everything out that you could just point people to, and that way their questions are more easily answered. And then our third one is to provide value to healthcare systems beyond participating in Odyssey network studies. And this objective is a little bit trickier for us, and we would really appreciate some community feedback on our key results. The first two key results we have is This is something that's been discussed a lot in the forums and also within the working group, is some type of cohort builder with patient-level data export. So Atlas can do that, but it can build your cohorts for you, but you can't pull patient-level data out of that for use in like machine learning, AI, anything like that. So that's been a topic of discussion recently. And then also, Odyssey is not meant for operational reporting. It's observational research. But we think that if we could figure out a way to do operational reporting, and maybe this is something that the FIRE working group is working towards too, is that would provide a lot of value to healthcare systems. And then we have a possibly unknown other key results for this objective of ours. So please help us by providing feedback on this. So if you want to join our journey, we're in MS Teams, we're on the forum. Our next meeting is Monday, February 14th at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And we meet every other Monday in MS Teams. So please find us there.
All right, cool. So again, like I think most of the, like to be honest, I think most of the working group update, they meet bi-weekly. Same with the healthcare system special interest group. I know I'm trying to not to say EHR working group. So here are all the teams meeting, and again, you can find all of those information in odyssey.org as well. And then I will now go to, I think, the oncology working group from ASEA.
But also leading the oncology working group, and what I'm gonna do is give you an update of what we've been up to in the oncology working group on behalf of all the members. So starting with our mission, the mission of the working group is to generate the oncology module, is to provide a foundation for representing cancer data at the levels of granularity and abstraction that is required to support observational cancer research. So make it simple. We started by saying that, we want to do observational cancer research. This is what we really want. It seems to be not straightforward. Thinking about a patient journey, this is something we've been using as our model to guide us on the steps or different pieces of the data and the elements that we need to do on observational research, from diagnosis till the end of the disease. You see that there's a lot of different components that we need to make it happen. A lot of them that are not usually available in the data. To make it happen, as a team, we recognize that we need standardized vocabulary, we need a model that can support it, and after that, we need data. We need partners who can partner with and make this effort happen. So the working group has structured itself in 3 different subgroups to support each of these pieces, and at the end, support the observational cancer research. The vocabulary and the development work group or sub-working group is specifically focused on development of standardized vocabulary. The current and most of the focus of that work group is looking at the NACER and the ingestion of the NACER and tumor registry data into OMAP. The work group meets every on the 2nd and the 4th Thursday of the month, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. We have a genomic vocabulary working group, which is focused on identification and development of the genomic vocabulary. We're working here specifically on somatic mutations, hoping that eventually adding germline to this effort as well. We're meeting on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern time. And finally, to support our data partners and any research collaborators, we have an outreach and research working group in which we discuss collaboration, research needs, and any potential grant or funding opportunities that can support the work. Meeting on the 2nd and the 4th Tuesdays of the month, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. So just to give you a brief idea of what we've done in 2021, like in different part of the working group, this is what you can see here as summary. I'm not going to read it; it's too much, too many words. But to summarize it, the work group have been able to develop standardized vocabulary representing misdiagnosis and a lot of tumor attributes that make identification of the study population or a specific disease phenotype possible. We have vocabularies for treatment regimen, and also we developed the genomic vocabularies. We have a model that we introduced in 2020. We worked on the improvement of the model. And there are several development activities happening on the improvement of NACER ETL, development of the different algorithms that can support either extraction of the required elements or analytic packages that support some of the oncology use cases. In terms of the adaptation, we've had more than 20 data partners who are at different stages of ETL and conversion of their data to the oncology extension. And finally, the working group has initiated and led several oncology studies and research collaboration with different entities and research organizations. So where are we going now? Just give you a little bit of a background. You probably heard a lot when the work was started back in 2016. There was a lot of, the question was doing oncology research, a lot of energy and enthusiasm of what is it that we want to do. We call it oncology extension because we wanted to experiment. We want to see what is it that we need and how we want to do it. We are at the level that we have a vocabulary, we have a standardized vocabulary, and we've developed a model that can support it. Now we want to make it happen, we want to make it available for all of you guys with data and everyone who want to do oncology research at scale. So not only focusing to those who have or adapted the extension. So for this, we need to be focused now, right? So we've done a lot of efforts in different sectors. So now it's time to focus, to make it effective, to make it work, to make our ultimate goal possible, and make sure that the extension is implemented as part of the conventional vanilla OMAP. So every data partner can have it as a part of their standard CDM. So with this, these are our 5 efforts or focus from now on, especially for this year. Make sure that the CDM actually accept or adopt the tables, destabilize the vocabularies. There's some fixes that we need to do with our genomic vocabularies. Do that and take advantage and use that. Run studies and also developing onboarding on-ramps for all of their data partners. So I'm going to briefly talk about some of our OKRs that are pretty much supporting these 5 activities. In our vocabulary and development working group, we're working on improvement and finalization of the ETL from NACER to OMAP. There's a lot of work happening there on finishing the vocabulary, improving and publishing an ETL package, and development of a post-ETL package to populate the episode table. Additionally, developing a roadmap for merging EHR and registry data and an oncology extension reference implementation for EHR. These last 2 will be in collaboration with the Health System Interest Group, something that we're going to announce very soon in the community, and we're very excited about it. In terms of the genomic work group, as I said, there are some fixes that we need to do with the genomic vocabulary, basically enhancement and validation of the OMAP genomic vocabulary. That means a lot of work in terms of continuous validation of the vocabularies, improve the totality of the vocabulary, and development of an ETL package that can support the work. Finally, publishing a documentation that everyone can read and sort of like make it available for the community, and development of best practices in standardization of genomic and other omic data that supports observational research. So within the oncology research and outreach working group, we're focusing on the dissemination and adaptation of the oncology module. First, make sure that our documentations are well maintained and updated, and develop training modules and workshops to support data partners on their ETL and mapping. So we're already working on 1 workshop, which we'll offer during the annual symposium, which will focus specifically on these aspects. And finally, supporting data partners and investigators in the application of the oncology modules for their observational research. There are several ongoing efforts right now at different levels. So make sure that, like, we, for example, with our new regimen extraction package, we optimize and validate and finally release it this year, and finalize some of the works and analytic tools that are under development. be able to have at least one network studies with more than 5 data partners who have their data in the oncology module. And something that we want to work on in collaborate with the phenotype development working group is to develop at least 12 reusable oncology phenotypes, 1 per month, and contribute it to the community. So I want to use this as a call for engagement. Come join us if you have data, if you're interested, if you have oncology use case, if you want to contribute to the model development or the vocabulary in different perspective. And also on the ETL side or methodology, there's a lot that's still going on. It's a continuous effort, but just want to invite everyone who's interested. This is a good time to join and just do some work with each other. Thank you so much.
Okay, so that's for the oncology community oncology update. As SCM mentions, the oncology working group is actually probably one of the really kind of earliest working group, and now we do have a new set of CDM extended tables for oncology specifically, and also the oncology vocabulary available. So definitely those are the good point to start. Any questions from the audience or thoughts? Okay, so for that, I will go to the next update, which is from Marta on Hades, which is really all of the analytical packages related.
Thanks, everybody. I'd like to give a short update on the Hades work group. Hades stands for Health Analytics Data to Evidence Suite. I'm guessing not everybody on the call knows what Hades is, so just a very brief introduction. Hades is a set of 24 R packages and counting. Some of you may have heard of the patient level prediction package, or the cohort method package, or the Cyclops, or the SQL render package. So these are all part of Hades. All of these packages are implemented to perform analytics against data in the OMOP common data model. And to get into Hades, a package needs to meet some minimum quality requirements. So we've set up continuous integration, which includes unit testing for our packages. They are, where possible, validated, documented, and also, very importantly, they are guaranteed. Well, we try to make them cross-database platform compatible. So no matter what database platform you're using, the Hades tools should run on them. I'd also like to point out that pretty much any Odyssey study at some point, I think, uses a Hades package, even if they don't know about it. A central repository of information on Hades is the Hades website, so I invite you all to go to this webpage. I'll also show you a little bit of the website in a second. So I'd like to split my update into basically 2 components, one on the developer community and how it's developing, and then updates on the software, the Hades software itself. So with respect to the developer community, I think a large focus has been on increasing our transparency. Just to give you some ideas of the efforts that we've been involved in. So we now have documents that document the requirements for what a Hades package should read at a minimum to be allowed into Hades. We already did, but still continue to do announcements of package releases on the Odyssey forums, and I'll show that in a second. We're making an effort to do better organization of our issues. So the issues are where basically all of the feature requests and bug reports are collected. And so we try to organize those better in the hope of getting more people involved in Hades and taking on these issues and helping us resolve them. We've also tried to organize those issues into milestones to better give you an idea of what to expect in the near future of our Hades packages, and I'll show that in a second. And I've actually created a new dashboard on the Hades website where you can get an overview of all the milestones of all the Hades packages. Also, last but not least, this is not new, but we have monthly Hades meetings, and actually the next one will be this Thursday at noon Eastern time. So let me briefly take you to the HDSI website. So this is the HDSI website. As I was mentioning, we now have a specific page that documents the requirements for HDSI packages. So that's something, if you're interested in having your package be included in HDSI, you should definitely take a look at this. And I was also mentioning that the milestones, we now have a dashboard that tries to collect all of the milestones across the HDSI packages. So these are all future releases that we are planning to do. We don't really have a specific date associated with them, but at least you get a bit of an idea of what will be included in the next upcoming release of several of our packages. I also mentioned that we announced all of our releases on the Odyssey forum. So this is that page where you can see that every time there's a new version of a package, we announce it over here. So definitely also check that out. So that's the community side developments. So what have been recent software developments? Well, there have been lots of incremental improvements and bug fixes. Already a while ago, but I haven't mentioned it here, is that Hydra, which is what is used by Atlas to generate our study packages, it now uses RN with all of its skeletons, which basically means that it fixes the dependencies that a study uses. So that should increase our software stability a lot, so that our study packages will continue to run even if some of the dependencies change over time. Also not really that new, but also not mentioned here before, is that we now have a cohort generator package, which can be used to instantiate cohorts locally in your environment. We used to do that with a lot of custom code. The empirical calibration of max SPRT, which is something that we introduced in the UMAEUS project, is now actually being implemented and is ready for use by others who want to use it. So that's in the empirical calibration package. As Gautam was already mentioning, we now have the phenotype library package, which holds the phenotype library. And that, of course, works together with cohort generators. So you can use these two packages together to instantiate any of the cohorts that are defined in the phenotype library. So that's what we have been working or have already released. There are some things in the works that are nearly done or going to be released pretty soon. One to mention is the cohort method version 5. Some of the developments is that we've now made it so that it scales up to ridiculous cohort sizes. This was needed for our COVID vaccine studies, where we have like 8 million, 9 million people in an exposure cohort, and the software still had to run in a fast enough for us to not lose our patients. It allows for more per outcome customization options. Also, something that you heard Patrick already talk about a little bit, we introduced go, no-go diagnostics in cohort method. So if your covariate balance fails, that basically comes up as a red flag now. And also, not unimportant, the cohort method package will be fully controllable via JSON input specs, and more on that, why we do that later. So feature extraction, an upcoming version will have cohort-based covariates. So in the past, covariates were also based on concepts that occurred in the data in the common data model. But now, a lot of people had to create custom covariates with lots of nasty custom code that was very difficult to write. So now it will be possible to just create a new cohort and use that basically as a covariate for another cohort. And one of the immediate use cases for that is to create what we call a table 1, which is a standard overview of characteristics of a cohort that is completely based on features created with this cohort-based covariate approach. And of course, the cohorts that we'll use for that will come from the phenotype library. So instead of just using the code for diabetes, for example, we'll use the cohort for, instead of using the concept for diabetes to create the covariate, we'll create the cohort for diabetes and use that to create the covariates in this table 1. A shout out to Adam Black, who has been working on Andromeda and switching out the backend, which is currently using SQLite, to a new backend using Arrow. That's not yet finished, but I've been playing around with it, and it's like crazy fast compared to the SQLite backend. So that will also give us a big performance boost across most of the Hades packages. Adam is also looking at database connector and seeing whether we can switch out the current JDBC backend to a DBI backend. From my vantage point, the main reason for that is that we don't have to maintain all of those drivers ourselves. But also another bonus of that might be that we can support the DB Plier interface for interacting with data. But that's still a little bit of in an exploratory phase, if you ask me, but certainly very exciting developments. Last but not least, Adam and Martin are exploring the use of the targets package to improve Odyssey analytics workflow. That again is more of an exploratory endeavor, but we might actually start using that at some point. One thing I'd specifically like to highlight is Strategist, and this is a new development, a rather major development in Hades, where we try to make it so that you can go from analysis specifications directly to results without actually having to write any R code. And it should also be possible to combine various analytics into a single study. For example, if you want a study that does cohort generation, cohort diagnostic, characterization, estimation, and prediction, you should be able to just write a single set of analysis specs, execute that as a single study. That would also mean that if you're doing an Odyssey network study, the thing that you would be sharing would be these JSON specs instead of R code. And of course, still having the flexibility that if you do need to do custom bleeding edge stuff, Odyssey after all, you should still be able to do that within the Strategist framework. Just to give you a little bit of an overview of how Strategist will work. As I mentioned, it's specifications on the left-hand side, which basically breaks down into analysis specifications. So those are things that are defining your study, like what are the cohorts, what do you want to do with them, what type of analysis do you want to perform, and then you have execution settings. So these are things specific to your environment. So how do I connect to the database server? Where can I find the data in common data model format, etc. Those together go into the Strategist package. This will then launch multiple modules that may or may not talk to the common data model and things like cohort tables, and will then produce results as zip CSV files, because we still want to share them between sites. But then you eventually can upload them to a database and have a modular Shiny app view those results. So that hopefully will be our new approach to doing most of our studies. And that's why, as I mentioned, in cohort method, for example, we want to have this paradigm where sure you can use R, but you can also have JSON specs go in and have CSV files come out. All right, and that was in a nutshell my Hades update. Thanks.
All right, so that is the update on Hades. So now we have the 5.0 for all of the R packages, and also if just general tips, if you having trouble running all of the packages, it might be the outdated one. So we need to kind of just go to the website and download the most recent. I will stop sharing as of now. Any questions or comments from everyone here? So I want to quickly give everyone a preview of our upcoming APAC community calls. So in the next one, we'll also have 3 work group updates, which are NLP, phenotype, and also the FHIR OMAP collaboration. Because I think that was the one I think in our last year's symposium, it was greatly welcomed. So we'll have an update from the FHIR OMAP collaboration in our next call as well. And then after that, in September, so we will be inviting the Odyssey Europe chapters to share their experience, as they're kind of relatively new to the Odyssey community as well. So we will be a really great learning for us as APAC community from them. So that's the preview for the August and September APAC community calls. All right, so that's all we have for today. And again, we'll be sending out recordings and feel free to check it out, all of the previous Odyssey community calls in odyssey.org/APAC. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us today, and hope everyone have a good rest of your day. And we hope to see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everyone.
All right, thank you.